And it's almost like praying.
Praying for forgiveness. Poor Mark Sanford. Let me just share a take on this that I don't think anybody is talking about, frankly. And it's a really important one. And that is the difference between between morality, the way that morality is viewed between conservatives and liberals. And this goes back to the founding of this republic. I mean, all the way to the beginning. Conservatives historically, and I'm talking, Patrick Henry was one of our first conservatives. The give me liberty or give me death, Patrick Henry. He was a Bible-thumping fundamentalist. He did not want the Constitution to be signed because it did not provide for a theocracy in the United States. Patrick Henry wanted a theocracy, although he was one of the early guys who also wanted separation from England, in part because he didn't like the Church of England. So Patrick Henry was one of these guys who was interested in private morality. As I said, from the beginning of this country to today, the conservative worldview and the liberal worldview are fundamentally different, whether it's genetic or the way people are raised or who knows why. But it's true. The liberal worldview, as espoused by people from Thomas Jefferson to Ted Kennedy, the whole arc, is what are we doing in public? The liberal worldview was first articulated in a big way on an international stage. Well, actually, in fact, you could go back even. I was going to say by Jesus. You could go back into the what Christians refer to as the Old Testament, into the Tanakh. You could find the exact same sentiments being expressed. That it's what we're all about. The liberal worldview is: are there hungry among us? Are there poor among us? Are there those in prison among us unjustly? Are there those who are sick among us? Are those who thirst among us? Are there children who are not cared for among us? If so, we cannot call ourselves a moral people. And that's the liberal worldview of morality. It's laid out in Matthew 25 just brilliantly, where the disciples come to Jesus and say, "How do we get to heaven? We want to go to this cool place with you." And he says, in the last days, I'm going to be sitting here separating the sheep from the goats, right? The sheep are the good guys going to heaven, the goats are going to hell. And I will say to them, when I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was thirsty, you gave me water. When I was in prison, you came and visited me. When I was naked, you clothed me. And you get to be the sheep and go with me to heaven. And this freaked out the disciples because because they'd never seen him hungry. I mean, people always gave him food, place to stay. And so they said, we're screwed. We're doomed. What are we getting? We never fed you. We never saw you hungry. We never, I'm serious. I mean, for those of you who are, go look it up, Matthew 25. They were freaked out. And he says, no. He says, as you have done to the least among us, to the least among your brethren, as you have done to the least among your brethren, you have done to me. So don't worry. It's not me personally that you've got to feed. It's